What are you watching?
A stupid dog video on Facebook.
Well, we are now live on YouTube, so if you're done with your chipmunk video.
It was a dog.
Okay. All right. Let me see if everyone can hear me. But hello, everybody. Welcome to our very first, well, our second live stream. I did one in the car that didn't really work out very well. Oh, Tim's back, everybody. So
Hello.
we're just trying this out real quick to see how YouTube works with us, and we wanted to have a discussion. If you've never been here before, we are the Think Different podcast. We have a podcast that comes out every Friday morning. We discuss things that are related to the Apple Store, at Apple products, news, tech world. What makes us unique is that we are both former Apple Store employees. We worked at the Genius Bar. Tim was, or Vacation Tim, he's known as, was a Genius administrator. And basically, that was the person in charge of the Genius Room, delivering the products back to the customers when they were after they were done repairing. And I was a Genius technician, and so my role obviously was to fix everything. So that's who we are, a little quick nutshell. And check us out. We have a couple videos on here that have been pretty popular. Right now, our App versus App series has been pretty popular with Apple Maps versus Waze. And then we also did Apple Music versus Spotify,
Team
which,
Spotify.
yeah, of course, and Tim is obviously Team Spotify based on his current reaction. So, Tim, welcome to this is the first time you're on YouTube Live, so some people may not even know what your face looks like.
I know, it's kind of strange. I don't like that they can see every motion that I make. I can
Yes.
make weird faces
So,
sometimes.
so now you got to pay attention, and now you have to look good, So now you got
I
to
do. I do.
shave.
I gotta doll myself up.
Yeah, exactly. So we're not expecting many viewers on this. We're not. We're just trying to test it out, see what it sounds like. Just trying to get our own feedback on the software that we're trying. And we thought we'd do a topic today that's been, something me and him are up do two opposite sides on, and that is I have been an iWork user since 2008. I have not used Microsoft Office until recently, only because my job forced it on the device. Even though I actually still use Pages somewhat on my current work device for some things, but for me, it is all about Office. I enjoy. I'm sorry, I apologize. For me, it's all about iWork. Shut up. At work, it's all about Office, but here in my room, in my computer, it's all about iWork for you. But you've been using Office forever.
Yeah. So I've been using Office since it. We were taught it in grade school. I used it throughout high school, and then in college, it was automatically given free to us. So to. I never really had to be exposed to another product.
Mm-hmm.
Another word processing product or Excel sheets and stuff like that, spreadsheet processing. Until Google came around when they offered their suite. But iWork was, if I'm really talking about different platforms that I would go to, Microsoft Office would be first, then Google platform, and then iWork. I mean, there's iWork. I know there's a lot of benefits, and we're not going to dive into it. Why iWork is probably more beneficial than using Microsoft Office. But for me as a user, it's almost a standard for me to use Microsoft Office, and I believe a lot of people can agree with me on that statement.
Very small amount. No, I'm joking. Of course, a lot of people would. I mean, right now we know that today it's really Google Docs has been kind of like the standard now because people, again, we're tired of paying for Microsoft Office. The reality is that the biggest downfall of why people don't like Office is the price of what you got to pay. I mean, first it was you pay $150. Maybe the student version was a little cheaper than that, but you didn't get Outlook, so you had to get the business version of that. And then they started doing what everybody else started doing, where I think Apple kind of pioneered that, where everything's linked to an ID. And that's been
Yep.
around since the Apple's App Store. And then everyone changed their method around because everyone was doing serial numbers. And serial numbers suck. Like they,
Yeah.
they suck. I mean, that's the reality of it. So why bother with that? And Apple, I think, changed the game with that with the App Store because now it works across multiple platforms. And everyone made that change. Adobe needed to change that because people were pirating their stuff all the time.
Right.
So that's number one. And then number two, Office was probably like the last one that got involved, but they started doing the $99 a year for Office where you can get the most upgraded version or you pay right now. I think you pay about $150 and you get the version that's out now.
Yeah, so that's what Will's describing is Office 365. So you pay a yearly subscription of $99, and what that gives you is always the up-to-date features and feature pushes, stuff like that. If there is going to be a new release of Office for 2020, you will automatically be rolled into that update. Whereas you do have to purchase, if you want a one-time purchase, it'd be $149 one-time purchase for whatever year that software is, and that can only be used for one computer. Which sucks. For that $99 price, that's considered a family plan, so you can have up to 6 users on that account. So you can technically use the Microsoft Suite on 6 different computers.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I look at when it comes to iWork, there's no confusion. Everything's just free. Everything is downloaded on your machine, especially on iOS. You have to go to the App Store on your Mac to download Pages, Numbers, and Keynote. It works directly inside of your iCloud. It creates its own folder in iCloud for you where Pages, Numbers, and Keynotes are stored. And it makes it really easy. There's no, you don't need an internet connection for it. So everything's just built right in there. And obviously the biggest thing about iWork, why people don't use Pages, Numbers, and Keynote is because of the compatibility. People don't think that it's compatible with other pieces of software. And I'm going to tell you right now, off the bat, you're wrong. Because I have a whole video on here talking about Pages and how it works with, it works with, you can make it work with Word and everything and PDFs. In fact, any document that I'm on, I don't understand, but it definitely, I don't understand why people don't. Actually, I was trying to see how people are. See if I can share the stream out real quick. I just want to see if it works. Let me see if this works now. There we go. Okay. So that works. I submitted the wrong stream. So I just wanted to see if that works. I'm trying to test see if the wifey can see what's going on.
Oh, cool.
Yep. So trying to get my shout outs on our YouTube and on our other channels.
But what Will's describing is the idea that it is possible to use iWork, Pages and their Keynote or their Numbers platform. You can export that and have that be readable to the common folk, I like to say, in a sense that those other Microsoft Office users that need to read those documents that you're sharing with them. So you can export Pages as a Microsoft document. You can export a number sheet as an Excel document, and the same goes for Keynote as a PowerPoint document. So that definitely is possible. However, me as a personal user of Microsoft Office, I don't want to have to think about that every time that I save the file, and I have to change the format in order to send that to a colleague of mine, whatnot. I'd rather just have me save it and automatically send it on over. So yeah.
Keep going. I'm still doing things.
Yeah. Office 365, like as I mentioned before, it's kind of like their push at a cloud service. So with that yearly subscription, you do get access to this OneDrive, where you can kind of do a lot of different things on there. So it's a cloud service, so you're able to upload and save all your documents and files and stuff like that in that service. You can share your documents. You can collab on documents in OneDrive. So there's a lot of capability, very similar to what you could do that Will's kind of attesting to in Pages, how you can collab in Pages and their iWorks platforms. So you can do the same in Microsoft. However, again, it just becomes with that fee. That fee is just the underlying notion of it is it's going to cost you money to use Microsoft. But is it worth it for you because it's that standard, because it's a superior product? Is that yearly subscription worth it, or that one-time payment worth it? I know for me, as a personal user, my work pays for it, so I use it through my work, and I don't have to actually see that money. Whereas if I'm going to be using my personal computer, I'm using Google Drive all day, just because that's completely free. It's on the cloud. I don't have to save it on my hard drive. For any listeners, they probably know which computer I have. I have a 2011 MacBook Air, 4GB RAM, and 128 gigabytes of storage. So me, I don't have a lot of storage on my device itself.
Yeah, you are very low.
So would love to offshore all my documents as much as I can.
And that's where iCloud
especially
is.
Recording this podcast takes up a lot of my memory, internal memory. But as we always attest to, it's important to always back up your data. So I always have my hard drive plugged in just in case anything would ever happen to this old MacBook Air. But I know we had an episode about me wanting to upgrade, and I still am looking to upgrade.
Yeah, you haven't upgraded your damn computer yet, man.
$1,200 check will receive. I'll possibly buy a new MacBook, Mac Mini, or when my tax return comes along, possibly looking into buying a new computer.
Yeah, he still wants to buy a Mac Mini for whatever reason. I don't know why, even though he wants.
Will, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
I cannot hear you.
I'm sorry.
Wilson!
I can hear you fine. I don't know why you can't hear me. I muted myself. So that's why you couldn't hear me.
Oh, there we go.
Technology's awesome. No, but figure out your damn computer situation. All right. We're tired of waiting. Okay.
I still have a beautiful Thunderbolt display though, for anybody who cares.
Yeah, you got your old busted MacBook Air. So I invited some of our old colleagues on here to take a look, and they're actually commenting live right now on our. And they're saying,
really?
Yep. And .n just said old busted MacBook Air.
There's a lot of pressure. I don't like this.
So, I got my beautiful 2016 butterfly shitty, keyboard, and you have your whatever, your very old machine. So,
still kicking.
All right. Well, one thing I was going to tell you that with iCloud, guess what? You can turn on optimize, and guess what? It takes away the files off of that small storage that you got. So you can use that. You can use that feature, and then you just get down to the cloud whenever you're ready.
But you also did show me how to integrate my Google Drive directly into my Finder.
I did. So, yes, I did open up the door.
That defeats the purpose of your argument.
It does. You're right. Absolutely. I mean, but here's the thing too. I also use Google Drive to send files for my clients for wedding videos. So I do use Google Drive for that. Only because everyone pretty much knows how to use that. And that's why I do it. I'm going to start transitioning, though, over to putting the wedding videos on my iCloud, since most people I know also have an iPhone. And most people might have a Mac. Plus, you don't need a Mac to look at Google Drive, iCloud Drive files and download them.
No, you don't. No. So here's the other argument that I have for Microsoft Office.
It's probably a bad one.
Is the ability that you can use Microsoft Office across any platform. So whether that is a Mac-based platform, iOS-based, iPadOS, PC, tablet, Android, Microsoft Office works on all of them.
I don't know what you're talking about.
They are formatted, like, if you're going to use, Microsoft Word on an iPad, it is a little bit different than using it on a desktop, with Mac desktop, but you're still able to do it, where, pages, numbers, and keynotes can only be used on an Apple device. The physical platform can only be used on an Apple device.
Okay, Tim. Thank you,
Just
Tim.
saying.
No, you're right. You're right. I agree.
And it's another argument for Google Drive as well. Google can be used on anything.
You're right. You're right. I agree with that. What I will always say when it comes to iWork and everything, you can make things look so much better inside of iWork with pages, numbers, and Keynote. And I gave my example earlier with my brochure that I sent you that I did all inside of there. Same thing with my resume. I understand how paragraph styles work. You can make a table of contents, and you don't even have to make one yourself. It does it all automatically. Did you know that, Tim?
Microsoft does that too.
All right, whatever. But they used to not do that. I can tell you that now.
They used to not. They've updated.
Excel definitely will beat numbers because of it's just standard what everyone does. I will say though, again, same deal. You could have different tables inside of numbers where you can't have that inside of Excel. Everything just looks like one sheet. You can make different tabs, but you can do that inside of numbers as well. But if you're talking about like you want one table and two tables to be completely separated, that's why you have to go with it. And then on top of it,
looks nice,
it visually looks nice, and on top of it, charts is only available.
Right.
Charts are only available inside of Excel. You have to link Excel to a Word or a key or a PowerPoint. That's not the case when it comes to us. Also, we talked about this too on the podcast. How much cleaner a keynote presentation looked, and we talked about where, remember back in the day, everyone used clip art and all these 3D text objects inside their PowerPoints to make them look like crazy in the 90s.
Yeah.
That was the 90s, though. Today, everything's about being clean. And Apple did that when they started doing their keynotes and when they started, broadcasting them live. And now today, for PowerPoints, you don't see those crazy things anymore.
No,
It's changed.
Standard. Yeah.
So, and I think, again, we call them keynote presentations. So I got the name out there. And then on top of it, there was a keynote remote that worked with your iPhone. I remember when that first came out, that was a big deal because you could use your iPhone to remote with your keynote presentations. And now you can have your notes on your iPad, presentation notes on your iPad while you're showing your screen with, so you don't have to bother looking at your computer. So
forgive me if I'm wrong. Aren't they not called keynotes anymore, though?
They're not.
Yeah.
Events.
Yeah.
Well, that's back in the day when no one was supposed to be watching them. But that was back in the day when no one was supposed to be watching them.
Right. I do have to say, I know this is an iWork versus Microsoft Office conversation, but I think what takes the cake in collaborative, file sharing and file editing is Google Drive. I think, I use it in my workplace. Will tested it. He uses it in workplace. The Google Drive feature of being able to collaboratively edit a document, edit a PowerPoint together. When I was in college, that's all you used. You never had to meet up with your group mates anymore. You just edited a document at 11 o'clock at night with them in your dorm room and not ever see them. So, I think Google takes the cake in that, in a sense where it's so easy for me to access a document on their cloud in a browser than for me to share it back and forth with, Will or, another teammate and stuff like that. So,
yeah, actually,
I think Google kicks ass in that.
Frank Funk just chimed in on our chat here, and it's good to hear from Frank Funk through text anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But he said iWork should be promoted more aggressively by Apple. Stop showing Office at an Apple keynote. That's a good point too. Yeah, that's actually a very good point. I don't think they show off Office that much. Everything they show on the screen is a keynote. You can see that. In the stores, yes, I actually agree that I don't think a lot of people would tell people how Pages, Numbers, and Keynote works in their machine because they're going to say, oh, I use Google Docs and I use Office. Well, if you don't get Office for free and you're going to pay for it, that is the biggest waste of money I will ever see. I will tell you to get Google Docs before I would tell you to buy Office.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, unless Office is free, you got to give me a good reason why you got to buy Office. So as much as you have used Office for so long in your life, you're at the point now where I could tell you, if you were not given Office for free, would you buy it?
No, 100% no, I wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't, right?
So then I wouldn't use iWork.
Okay. So, and then my argument is, again, we talked about this on the podcast, that you have to turn those files offline if for whatever reason you have no internet connection, where I will tell you that the advantage of iWork, Pages, Numbers, and Keynote is that you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. So that does limit what Google Drive could do because it's not a physical software that's downloaded on your computer itself. It is all accessed via the browser. So you have to make the document offline before going offline to actually access that document.
Yeah, and that's an extra step. And as we all know,
Sure.
Extra steps are not exactly everyone's and not everyone wants to do that.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, that's our first stream. We just wanted to give this a little tryout, see how we sound. We're gonna listen back to it, see if we like it. We might start doing this a little more often. Instead of maybe doing the podcast. It all depends on the viewership and if our topics are, if we promote it correctly. So we just want to give this a try, see how we sound. Hope you guys liked our banter back and forth. You finally got to see our faces. Unfortunately, when it comes to Apple, when it comes to these stupid displays that are only 720p, So I don't look as good as you do. So, and actually, Frank just chimed in one last comment by saying with the latest version of iWork, you can collaborate live with coworkers. Yes, so that is... Yeah. There is a collaboration feature. We talked about that in the podcast as well, which we do have available now. We talked about how the collaboration feature does work. And on our channel now, on Thursday of this week, we're going to have a tutorial that I created. It's 11 minutes long. And it talks about some of the questions you asked me about trying to get stuff to work with Word, trying to get stuff to work with PDFs, and how that works in Pages, because it works across numbers and it works across Keynote as well. It's no different. And I can tell you that. Oh, thanks. Okay, I might block Frank here because you said you never sounded good to begin with. So let's see if we can remove. Can we block him? Okay. So
remove him from the chat.
Yeah, remove his ass from the chat. Go watch some football or sports. Oh wait, there are none. All right, so now you have to stay home and do nothing but play with your damn drum set. Okay. So, all right, everybody. So we want to thank you for joining us on the Think Different podcast. Make sure you download our episodes every Friday. We have it available. You could search at just search Think Different podcast on Apple Podcasts. Our home platform, which is Launchpad, Spotify. We are also on Amazon. We are on Pandora. Google, everywhere. You can get us everywhere. We are everywhere. So, all right, guys. Thank you very much, and be safe during this crazy pandemic times.
Peace out.